Okay, here we are. It's time for the October practice challenge results and chat. So, welcome along. If you're here live with us, definitely say hello in the chat and ask any questions that you might like to ask, anything that's come up for you over the last month of practicing. Gonna just hang out for a little while before I do the announcement of third, second, and first place. But I've been making a few notes of things that have come up for some of us over this month of doing our 20 minutes every day. And if you're watching from YouTube, this is the results announcement live that we do monthly in my school community, the Warburton Music Studio. So basically, I'm encouraging everyone to do 20 minutes of practice for as many days as possible, and then come onto the community and just let us know what you're working on. Leave a comment and maybe have a look at what other people are working on as well, and just sort of engage. But yes, do the practice, check in on the community, and then at the end of the month, I tot up how many days we all checked in, and the winner gets a wonderful Warburton Music Studio Certificate. So, without further ado, let us announce the top three. So there were 6 entrants this month. So thank you all for doing your practice and engaging with the Warburton Music Studio. So third place this month goes to Nora. A very big well done to you, my love. Second place goes to Simon. And Simon, I know you came third last month, so well done. And first place goes to the beautiful Beverly. So well done, all three of you, and thank you to everyone for taking part. So I've got a little list here of things that have come up in people's practice this month that I thought it would be useful to share with the group. So something that came up in one of the lessons, and this was quite early in the month, so it feels like it was a long time ago, but just an awareness of how small these chunks need to be that we practice in to get that improvement that we're looking for. So I always recommend that we break our pieces down into sections, usually about 4 bars long, but just however long the phrases are. I like to number the phrases, and then I always say practice in those sections. But it's also really beneficial when we're trying to sort of put that final polish on a piece, and when we're first learning it as well, actually, to just take the chunks even smaller than that. 1 bar, 2 bars, half a bar, separate hands. I think sometimes we don't realize just what a small chunk we can practice in order to get those improvements. So literally, if you've got 2 chords, let's say, I mean, the piano and the harp are my instruments, so they're what I kind of can relate to specifically. If you've got 2 chords, one after the other, and you always struggle to find the second chord, you can just go back and forth between the 2 chords. Chord 1, chord 2, chord 1, chord 2, chord 1, chord 2. And it's just getting that muscle memory in the tiny, tiny little chunks, and then putting those chunks together. And then you can have a go at the section, and then you can start putting the different sections together. So that was a bit of a breakthrough, actually, for this particular student. And I thought it was definitely worth sharing with the group. And leading on from that, and this is linked to the previous point, when we're practicing, just try and make it easy for yourself as far as possible. We don't want to be pushing, always challenging ourselves. Just make it easy as far as you can. If you're not comfortable doing hands together yet, just do separate hands, okay? Just do separate hands for ages. You should be sort of almost getting a bit bored of each hand on its own and think, oh, come on, I can do this. And then it's time to start putting it together slowly. But even at that point, you're going to be putting hands together so slowly that it feels not too challenging. Putting hands together is always a little bit challenging because the brain is doing a lot of different things at the same time. Hands are doing different things from each other. But when we're practicing and trying to improve, we never want to be taking too much of a big step forward. It's all really incremental. Um, and just giving the brain a chance to, yeah, okay, yeah, I know how to do this. Yeah, I'm ready for the next bit. Yeah, okay. So just making it easy. And when we bring the metronome into play as well, very important to start the metronome off at a speed at which you're comfortable. So put the metronome on the speed that you're currently playing it. Make sure the whole piece is consistent and comfortable and fluent with the metronome at that slow speed. And that is sort of level one from which you can start to increase the speed and start to get these pieces to where you need to get them. There's a very good pearl of wisdom that I often refer back to that I once heard from my friend Olivia, and that is to practice at the speed of no mistakes. And this again links to something I heard someone say way back when I was just coming out of school, thinking about going to music college, and there was a harpist who was already in college who I just thought was so amazing, so inspiring. I just wanted to be her essentially. And she said, 90% of my practice is slow practice. And I thought, whoa, you're amazing. And 90% of your practice is slow practice. Okay, that's what I'm going to do, because I really wanted to just be the best player that I could possibly be. Another point that has come up over the month of October is something I think a lot of us struggle with is procrastination. I'm feeling like, oh, I should practice. I'll do it later. Let me know in the chat if you have ever struggled with procrastination. But I'm starting to get a theory as to why a lot of us struggle with procrastination, and actually just the difficulty of actually sitting at your instrument and making a start. And that is that few things are more painful for us as human beings than to put your heart and soul into something, really try as hard as you can, and then to fail, to not do as well as you think you might have. It's really hard. It's really hard when you've worked for something and then you still don't get it, because it kind of feels like, oh, I wasn't good enough. What's easier is to not even try. So if you don't do your practice, you procrastinate, you allow yourself to put it off, and then you get to your lesson, your performance, whatever, and you don't do as well as you were hoping, there's always the fallback of, oh, well, I didn't do enough practice. That's a very different emotion to, oh, you know what, I actually did as much practice as I possibly could, and I still didn't do as well as I wanted. That's hard, isn't it? So what I'm trying to say with all this is just trying to get that awareness of when we are procrastinating, when we're sort of putting off practice, and maybe delving a bit deeper into why. And also remembering that, you're probably watching this video because you're part of the Warburton Music Studio. You're probably one of my in-person students, or at least in my school community. So it's not like your lesson is not a high stakes performance. I'm happy to hear your stuff, however it is. So I know the hardest part is sitting down at your instrument and starting. That's certainly how I feel anyway. But it's definitely worth it once you've started. And it's a really good feeling to get to your lesson and know that, yeah, I've done as much as I had time for this week. So if it goes well, great. If not, well, let's talk about what I can do differently going forward, what's not working, and take it from there. I hope that makes sense. Another point that I wanted to mention today was made by one of my students a couple of weeks ago, and that is comparing music practice to like sports training for a sport, whether that's running, whatever. because you can practice and practice and practice, and it doesn't guarantee a perfect, flawless performance because we're not in control of the things that happen on the day. We might have had a terrible night's sleep the night before. The piano might be slightly different to what we're used to. I know some of you find that with my Bechstein here that I teach on. So essentially, the more practice you do, the luckier you are on the day. Similar to training, no matter how much training you do, you can never guarantee how you're going to do on the morning of a race, a game, whatever it is. But you can sort of mentally fall back on, yeah, I've done as much preparation as I can for this. So it's interesting the parallels between training and music practice, because music practice is kind of training, isn't it? We're training our brain, we're training our fingers, we're training our music reading. There's so much going on. I'm just going to have some of my caramel latte. So I just thought that was interesting to think about. Something that I always talk about as well is how effective it is to do short practice sessions during the week instead of one massively long session just before your lesson. So you can do the same total amount of time. If you did like 6 20-minute sessions, that's the same total amount of time as a 2-hour session, isn't it? 6 lots of 20 minutes. But those 20-minute sessions will achieve a lot more than 2 hours. I think I mentioned this in last month's video, because you sleep on your progress, you sort of refresh what you did last time and then go a little bit further in the next session. And it's just these little consistent efforts is going to be what makes the improvement over the course of the week. But a really good point made by one of my lovely students is that it's quite important for that first session to be as soon after your lesson as possible. And I think I made this point with regards to music theory. I said, look, why not do the homework right after the lesson when it's still fresh? And then that led us on to talking about, well, why don't you do your first practice session ASAP after the lesson? So it's fresh, like what we've talked about, what I've asked you to do, and any little sort of technique bits and bobs that we might have mentioned as well. So yeah, I really liked that. It took me back to like when I was at school and I was always encouraged to do my homework as soon as I got home. Or if I had anything to do over the weekend, I would try and do it on the Friday and kind of forget about it over the weekend, and it's already done. And it's a little bit of mental clutter that you can kind of just forget about. Okay. So I think those were the main points that I wanted to go over this month. I've had a couple of lovely Google reviews, so I just wanted to take a moment and say thank you very much. I think I've had reviews from Martin, Brittany, and Anne recently. So thank you. It just means the absolute world. And, I feel like it's already helped people find my Google business listing. I'm sort of moving away from using social media at the moment. So my trying to find new students, I don't want to rely on social media. I'm very much looking at my website and Google and possibly YouTube as well. So I appreciate it. Thank you for your kind words. It's really, really, really just makes it all worth it. Okay. If you like the sound of the practice challenge and you'd like to join for the November challenge or any of the future monthly challenges, I believe there's a link in the description to join the currently free community. So if you click that link and press join, then you can join the community. I'm just going to talk briefly about how to enter the challenge, okay? So every day I will make a post with today's date on it. And what you do is you do your 20 minutes practice, you come onto the community and find the post with today's date on it. And then you comment under there what you've done in as much detail as you would like. And it's just that little bit of accountability that I've heard and I've found is just really helpful. Well, I better do my practice so I can log in and share it. And that's it. And that's it. At the end of the month, I tot up how many days I've done and give a certificate to the winner. We've only done it twice so far, and the winner has been one of my in-person students. So I just give my certificate straight to them. But if it's someone from further afield, I will, of course, post it to you. I'll make sure you get it. I think it's quite nice to have. There's a picture in the community, I think, of Beverly's from last month that you can have a look at if you want to see. Now then, something that I'm thinking of bringing into the community, and I wanted to talk to you about this today, is one-to-one monthly individual brainstorm sessions. So if you are one of my in-person students, you know you can always just bring to me any questions, anything you want to talk about, whether it be about, music theory, how to practice, your mindset, anything like that. We can chat about that in your lessons. You're always free to come along with any questions. This is more for people who aren't in-person students. If you live further afield, but you'd like us to put our heads together for an hour and just see if I can help you sort of work through anything you've got going on, anything from a music theory perspective that's not clear, or if you want me to listen to something that you're working on and offer feedback, supportive feedback, I'm more than happy to do that as well. So if you see that coming up on the group as an extra sort of upgrade, I've not done it yet because I'm still working out all the details of how I'm going to do it and what I'm going to ask for this. But if you're one of my one-to-one students, my in-person students, don't worry about it because we see each other regularly. So if you do want it, obviously I'm not going to stop you, but I've envisaged this more for people in the Warburton Music Studio, but who don't come to this house for lessons weekly or fortnightly. Okay. Right. I think that's everything I wanted to cover today. So I really hope you're all well. I hope you are gearing up for the November challenge. November is a great month of the year, very important month. We're entering my birthday season. I don't just look at it as one day anymore. I look at it as a whole season. And I look forward to hanging out with you in the group. All right. Any questions, you can always pop a post in the community or comment down below if you're watching this on YouTube. And I'll see you all very soon. Big well done to Beverly for winning second month in a row. You've done really well. And happy practicing, everybody. Okay, bye-bye.